Alright, folks. Another reason why so many people will never get to a point of going through Yeshua or get to a point of having their issues dealt with is because in their understanding, good comes from God, bad comes from the devil. That's how they measure right from wrong, good and evil. So therefore, the whole concept and idea of God breaking you, no, God can't break you. That's not God doing that. That has to be the devil. Does it feel nice? Then it's God. If it doesn't feel nice, it must be the devil. Right? Isn't that how so many people think? Yeah. Well, the reality is that's baby thinking. Of course it is. That's incredibly immature thinking. But that's where a lot of people are. Because isn't that the point with regards to the world? Isn't that the way the world understands things? If it tastes nice, it's good. If it's painful, hurtful, doesn't feel good, then that's bad. That's evil. That's nasty. Yeah. As I say, we are where we are. With regards to all that sort of stuff, we are where we are. That's where people are. They have that sort of understanding. Yeah. I would not say for a second that that's good, but no, of course not. No. It's as bad as saying a person is good because that person has money. A person is bad because they have no money. It's as stupid as that. But hey ho, we're still, well, as I say, the Lord said, other sheep have I. Sheep are blinking idiots. They're very, very simple-minded. They're not complicated thinkers. They don't necessarily have the ability to reason. And so when he gave people that compared them to that animal, there was a bloody good reason for that. It wasn't just because he is a shepherd, it's also because of the fact they're not very intelligent at all. He could have said goats, because goats are a damn sight more intelligent. You have goats that somehow, don't know how, they're able to thrive, not just survive, but thrive in mountainous regions. And when I say mountainous, I mean very, very difficult to climb mountains. Even for the most professional, these goats just cope with it. They understand it. They're able to navigate their way up and down. Yeah, that takes a degree of intelligence. Sheep would never be able to do that. Most of the sheep would have fallen off the mountain and died. Well, again, part of the problem is that people, yeah, when people go to a church, they don't want churches to be places where you've got to really think. They don't want it to be like school, where you've got to learn, where you go to a church and you go as an infant with very, very little understanding, and you have to develop understanding. They don't want that. No. Of course not. What they want is for it to be safe space, for it to be comfortable, for it to be pleasant. That's why in churches full of old people, they have the old songs. They don't have new songs where you've got predominantly old people, because that would be unpleasant for those older people. They would have to learn these new songs. They don't want to learn anything. They've had their years of learning. Now they're retired. Church should understand that and should treat them with respect as a retired person, not force them to learn. Well, when you have that sort of understanding, you will stay of the world. You're going to church thinking that church is going to get you into heaven. It's not. It's not. Your destination won't change. Unless you change, your destination won't change. People think, okay, their destination is based on the promises of Christ. Okay. But then they ignore all the other teachings of Christ. Right? Pretty much, yeah. Anything that talks about, that you're supposed to bear fruit, and any branch that does not bear fruit gets cut off, they ignore that. No, we can't be talking about cut off, because that means that we have to look at ourselves and see if we're bearing fruit. No, too complicated. Let's just say that no, we're under the promises of Christ. He said that we're going to be where he is, and we know he was talking to us because we believe he was talking to us. That's good enough. Yeah. When he said other sheep, he was talking about us. Right? Well, no. Probably not, actually, no. Because, as I say, the other words of Christ, he was talking about the ground that the seed falls upon, saying only in one in 4 types of ground does the seed bear fruit, or continuously bear fruit. So only one type of ground is good. Only one type of ground is a type of ground where that person will be still on the vine and not be cut off. That's what he said, right? He also said that the devil will throw in tares amongst the wheat. Right? Those tares are put in by the devil in order to lead the church away from truth. Those tares, they're not going to heaven. They're of the devil. So we know from what he said that there are tares within the church. People put into the church by the devil to lead the church away. And guess who those people are? In most cases, the leaders. They are the tares, leading the church away from truth. Again, churches will be condemned because they rely on certain parts of the Word of God, certain parts of the teachings of Christ for their salvation, but they ignore so many other areas because having to deal with stuff is difficult. Having to deal with stuff is painful, therefore of the devil. Right? Well, there you go. That's why, as I say, people need to be broken. When people are broken, people get to a point of accepting. Yeah. That they're wrong in areas that they never believed they were wrong before. But most people won't see the brokenness as being God. For me, I did a video just yesterday saying, God prepared me. God put those points in my mind to talk about finding your peace, and then the next day retaining your peace. Because without that, would I have known it was God doing it? Could I have said it was the devil? Quite likely, yes. Yeah. So I'm not saying to people, I'm judging you by saying that you want to see things in that way. It's human nature to do that. It's human nature. We've been conditioned to think in that way. All of us have. It's very, very rare. God has to, manipulate things. Bring people to a point where they understand it's him. And with some people, they are highly insistent on never seeing that. Some people, they count it as an offence to God. To say that God would do something bad is an offence to God. You're basically aligning God with the devil, saying that God would do something that's painful. Well, is that true? No. No, that wouldn't be true. But if people want to see it in that way, then they will. But if they want to see it in that way, there's nothing God can do to turn them around, because they've already put that there, and they're a bit on the knackered side, aren't they, really? So there you go. I hope you have a fantastic week, and be blessed, and hopefully you'll see. Take care. Bye.